Hello, it is time to feed my sourdough starter. So I'm going to show you the step-by-step of how I feed my sourdough starter and get it ready in order to bake bread. So I know that I want to make a few loaves of bread for Thanksgiving. So what I'm doing today is I'm going to feed my sourdough starter to keep it active and to reactivate it, even though it is pretty bubbly. So this is my sourdough starter that I've kept in the fridge the last couple days because I wanted to slow down the process and I wanted to time it just right. So I technically could probably make a loaf of bread with this right now and it would be fine, but I want it to be more bubbly and more active and ready to go for my 2 loaves that will be the first step. So I have a few things here. I have my clean jar that I will feed my sourdough starter into, new and fresh. I have my active sourdough starter, and then I have my other jar of discard that lives in the fridge at all times. So I will always have some discard in the fridge because every time I feed, I put the remaining into my discard jar. So here we go. Okay, here's my jar. This is to feed my sourdough starter, just to keep it active. Again, I am not going to feed it the proportions to make bread yet. I will do that tomorrow night. So I'm going to zero out my scale, and I'm going to put about 60 grams of water. And this is filtered water. That's 50, 56, 60. All right, that's my first step. Next step, I'm going to take a spoonful, but I usually like to use my sourdough spatula. I love my spatula. It allows me to stir it really well. So first of all, I'm going to stir this up, and then I'm going to take some from the bottom, and I'm going to, it's very cold from the fridge, so it's harder to work with when it's cold, but I'm going to take about, come on, that much. I'll tell you what the measurement is, but it might be a little bit much, but we'll just see. Yeah, come on. Okay, almost there. And I want it to fall right into the water. I have to use my fingers. There we go. Okay, so that's definitely enough. So that was probably about, let's see, 18 grams. So I'm going to then stir it into the water and get this scraped down from the edge. Okay, so stirring. I'm going to get it pretty well mixed in, and then when I put the flour in, I will mix it even better. Okay, so I'm going to zero out my scale again. So my scale is at 0 right now. So even though this is on it, it's zeroed out so I can see how much flour I need to add. So right now I'm going to add 60, and then I like to do a little bit extra flour. So I'm doing a ratio of 60 to 60, but I always like to do a little extra flour. So I will tell you that amount. So here we go. That is a lot more than I usually do. So that's actually 76. I would usually do about 68, but I'm just gonna go with it. It'll be fine. But if you are just feeding your starter to keep it active, you can do a ratio of 60 to 60. And if you are making bread, obviously your ratio is going to be much different. So that will be our day 2, which will be tomorrow, making enough starter to have ready for bread the next day. So I'm going to mix this up really, really well. And that's what it looks like. So it's very thick, and it's kind of like a very dry pancake batter texture. I'm going to add a titch more water. Again, if you're doing this and you want the exact measurements, you can just do 60-60 or 60 flour. 60 water and 68 flour. Mine, I put a little too much in, but it'll be just fine. It's just a higher flour concentration. Okay, so I mix it up and get it all mixed. And then I like to take a knife and I like to just scrape off the remaining from the spatula. This is a sourdough spatula, so I just like to scrape it off like that. Okay, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you. So this is my new sourdough starter. I'm going to leave it on the counter because I want it to go to be active at a quicker rate than in the fridge. Again, if it's a cooler temperature, it slows down the process. So here's my starter. Now we have my discard, which lives in the fridge until I'm ready to make crackers or pancakes or whatever I'm going to make with it. Now I'm going to take my active starter I took out of the fridge, and I'm then going to add it to my discard because now this becomes discard. And then again, I have 2 jars. This one will go in the dishwasher to wash it, and I'll have 2 jars again. So when I'm feeding, I will have 3 jars, but then when I'm done feeding, I will have 2 jars pretty much at all times. And that's that. So we have our discard jar that goes back in the fridge, just lives in the fridge till I'm ready to use it. This is going to be washed. And our new sourdough starter jar will sit on the counter tonight because I want it to be more of a room temperature than a colder temperature. That's all for day 1. Thanks. Bye.